Okay, good morning, friends. Welcome to the Spirit Society of Virginia. We are going to start today by reading a message from the book The Way, the Truth, and the Life by the Spirit Emmanuel through the medium Chico Xavier. The opportunity to do the good. Jesus asked him, "Friend, why have you come?" Then, stepping forward, they seized Jesus and arrested him. Matthew chapter 26, verse 50. It is very interesting to observe the Master's optimism as he created opportunities for doing the good to the very end of his glorious mission of truth and love. Christ had known about Judas' betrayal and had lovingly commented on it in his last intimate meeting with the disciples. He harbored no doubts about the suffering that awaited him. Judas, his misguided co-worker, approaches and kisses him on the cheek, identifying him to his executioners. With sublime serenity, the Master kindly acknowledges his greetings and asks, "Friend, why have you come?" His merciful heart provided his troubled disciple with the opportunity to do the good even the very last moment. Although Jesus can see that Judas has come with the guards to arrest him, he still calls him friend. He does not all of the sudden stop trusting him, nor does he curse him, indulge in futile complaints, or turn him over to posterity with accusations or shameful words. With this gesture of unforgettable spiritual beauty, Jesus taught us that it is necessary to leave the gates of the good open right up to the very last minute of the earthly experience, even when, at the end of our last opportunity, nothing is left but a way that leads to suffering or to the cross of ultimate witness.
What a message. What a message. So let us all now, invited by this profound message by Emmanuel, feel the presence of God. Dear God, we know that we don't know much, but we are here to learn more. Not only for this life, but for immortality. Thank you for creating this space that we name the Spirit Society of Virginia as our home for progress, as our place to be treated in our deepest wounds of the soul, to receive new strength, and to help one another. We thank you also for Cardiac Radio that connects us to one another beyond the walls of the center, and the broadcasting in the spiritual realm that allows many to feel the comfort of your presence as we remind ourselves that we are your children, and with you, life is always good. Sadness goes away. New strength is gained, and we are able to renew ourselves all the time. We pray for the people who discarnated in tragic ways, especially those who were brutally murdered. We pray for those who committed homicide without noticing. We pray for those who departed in dramatic ways, trusting that your messengers, the spirit doctors, nurses, and therapists are always there. giving everyone a hand and asking everyone to begin anew. We pray for everyone who has their name in the book of prayer. May each and every person feel your healing touch and new beginnings in their lives. As for us, may we stay under your guidance, feeling your protection as you grant us the permission for a new day, and so be it. All right. So, yeah, okay, you guys can go with Miss Daisy, Miss Karen, Miss Paloma. Okay. Okay. So, friends, why have we reincarnated? For the majority of people in this room who are discarnated, they are looking forward to reincarnate. They are preparing themselves to be given an opportunity. Why? In the book, The Spirit's Book by Kardec, in the third part, we have the laws of God. And it says the law of progress. We progress, but we do not progress just by being a spirit wandering in the universe. We need the school of reincarnation, the school of incarnation specifically, to be connected to the material realm and know how not to be eluded by it. Imagine at this moment, if this was it, we wouldn't go home, back home today. From here, we would go straight to the spiritual world. Imagine, that day is going to happen. May not be today, but it's going to happen for sure. As Benjamin Franklin said, we don't want to talk about taxes, but death and taxes are sure things. You can't escape from it. Can't. We try to escape from death by not thinking about it, but we need to think about it. And death is not the end. Death is a continuation. And the question is, continuation of what? How are we going to be if we discarnate today? We're going to take with us all of our feelings, all of our thoughts, everything we are. That car stays, the home stays, the bank account stays, and that's where people freak out. Because they're like, my bank account, the savings, the investments, no longer ours. It's so interesting when people who have a lot of money die, because they were taking so much good care of everything. The minute they die, they can't do anything with it. And many of them are desperate. Umberto de Campos talks about, through Chico Xavier, many cases of these people, especially men, but not only, who had a lot of money. They discarnated all of a sudden, and then everything that they thought was theirs is no longer theirs. They go desperate thinking, this was not supposed to go to those people. They go. Like in the book, In Life Goes On, which is a movie already. Andre Lewis tells us the story of Evelyn and Ernest, and Evelyn was married to Kyle. He wasn't a very ethical person at all. He had his affair with Vera, and then later, after Evelyn's discarnation, he is still dating his lover. And she has a mother who has a lot of assets. And he says, don't worry, my dear, I'll take care of it. His intention, take everything under his name. And he does it. And he's thinking he's gonna keep it for eternity, right? And Andrea Luis says, in 30 years, his new wife's mother discarnates now. She's gonna reincarnate as a child. She's gonna be a young adult when he discarnates, and everything he took, plus more, is gonna be hers. So who dictates who is going to take what? Our will? That's what we wish. But it's not. It's going to be God's designs. And that's where many people who are not very evolved, they get entrapped. In the Spirit's book, there is a very interesting question for us that's going to talk about incarnation. Okay? It's question 914. There is a whole part in this that talks about moral perfection, though people don't want to talk about it. I see even therapists saying, oh, don't try to be perfect. Don't try to be perfect. But in the gospel says, be perfect. So I don't think therapists, we have to be careful. There are therapists and therapists. And we have to find therapists that are more sublimated in their materialism, or they won't help us. They will lead us to choices that we'll regret. There is this question about, Kardec asks, since selfishness is based on personal interests, it seems difficult to uproot, to rid ourselves from it. Will we ever be able to do so? How are we going to be able to rid ourselves of the very thing that makes us reincarnate time and again, time and again? When do we stop incarnating? You guys know the answer. When we become pure spirits. We don't need to reincarnate. We may incarnate like Jesus for a mission, but not reincarnate. So what can we do to stop these experiences that are very challenging? Answer. We need to get rid of selfishness, of personal interest. As humans become enlightened about spiritual things, they attach less value to material things. Next, it is necessary to reform human institutions that entertain and excite such attachment. This depends on education. So we're talking about what? The more we know about spiritual things, the less materialistic we're going to become. From Monday to Friday, I will no longer go to work thinking, I need this money, I need this money, I need this money, I need this money. I'll go to work thinking about the people. It's not by chance I'm meeting these people. Even if it is for an hour, there is a reason why we're connected. There is a reason why I'm here. How can I be useful? Not necessarily in the job description type. We're talking about being useful in immortality. Paying attention to the people. The people who come to us, they are not mere numbers in our lives. There is a reason why we have this colleague and not the other. This boss and not the other. We have mutual responsibility. And especially people who are more aware of spirituality. They are more responsible than others. Are we doing that? Or are we knowing of all of this and we are behaving just like everybody else, or even worse? Because then we spend our whole week thinking about what to buy, the next vacation. And there are people who are like this. They go to work thinking of the next vacation, of retirement, of the next house, the next property, the next this, the next that, material. But Vanessa, well, I don't think Jesus did that, and he's our guiding model. I don't want to be extreme, but let's evaluate our model. Did he have a home? Did he? So you're worried about having a home? But Vanessa, shouldn't we? Majority of people on earth don't have a home. Majority of people on earth do not own a home. But shouldn't we? No, you can. If you can. But if you can't, don't stress. There are people who can't. Who will die and will never own a home. And that doesn't mean they're less. Because Jesus didn't have a home. And there are people who feel like, I have a home. So what? There are people who do not have a home and they're going to go to high colonies. And we may not stay anywhere near a colony because we had 10,000 homes, but didn't do much with it. But selfishly within our family. Think, but it's my family, yeah, but everybody else is your family. As the good spirits say. So the more we know, the more we're going to change. For example, our schools. Why is our child in this school and not in the other? Because I have a commitment to this school. But what can I do to change, Vanessa? Believe it or not, people notice. You don't need to do much. Just be the message. Pay attention, be present. Even if it's small conversation, our mini actions will tell us that there is a new pattern people are going to observe. And they may connect with you on social media, follow you, follow what you think. And when you least expect, we're being a catalyst of change where we are. But if they go to our social media, our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and our social media just like theirs, what do? Majority of people. They have fun, they take pictures and show. They go places and they show. And then we do the same. They're like, this person doesn't change my life. Because whatever they post, it's all about them. We keep cherishing our personal interest. Now, what happens? And now let's go to the gospel. See how these books are so precious. They can save our lives. In chapter 4, it talks about reincarnation at the very end. Kardec's Spiritist Society in Paris had a mentor named Saint Louis, a former king in France who evolved, who was very different from other kings, and he was the mentor. So he has two messages that were brought in by the mediums at Kardec's time, and he published here. And he talks about the need of incarnation and the limits of it. And he's going to refer to the spiritual body. He's going to say, let's just listen to a bit of what he says. Incarnation does not have precise limits. But, he says, on certain worlds more advanced than Earth, our spiritual body is less dense, less heavy, and consequently people suffer less. So he's going to say, we will need to incarnate to evolve. But what dictates our evolution? To be less self-centered, to think less of our needs, to think more of the needs of others, to think more of sublimated things. And that's going to affect the semi-matter that composes our unique body that we call perispirit. So Kardec says, we are spirits that vibrate and we're enveloped by this spiritual body that we call perispirit. Okay? So the discarnate spirits, that's what they are composed of. They are spirits enveloped by the spiritual body, the perispirit. At human level, we take the shape of human body. The spiritual body looks like a human body at our level, okay? When we incarnate, this spiritual body is going to connect to the first cell of the body in the mother's womb and imprint itself, materialize little by little. So when a baby is being gestated, we're talking about the materialization of a spirit. That's what it is, a gestation. The spirit is coming and coming and coming and coming. When birth comes, reincarnation is not done. It takes 7 years for a spirit to be reincarnated. And then the next phase from 7 to 14, there are adjustments and opening new files as the perispirit expands, the body grows. And that's when we start seeing from 7 to 14, we see more of the personality of the spirit coming full force. And that's when many parents are like, oh, who are you? I don't recognize you anymore. Probably because they are not very close to their children. Because when you pay close attention, you won't be surprised because you saw it coming. Even in the womb, you can feel the reactions of the spirit that is animating and the sensations. So, but we have this estrangement because who is this now? And maybe it's from another life, something that needs to be adjusted. We are who we become, not what others dictate. Nobody will tell us who we are. But we do tell us who we want to be. Who are you? Well, I am becoming. I am becoming. We are becoming what we decide. But others tell me that I am like this. You want to be like that? But they say, well, that's what they say, but you want to be like that? People told Jesus, and they said about Jesus that he was a drunkard. Was he? No. He was a womanizer. Was he? No. Oh, but imagine if Jesus came to us and said, but people tell me that I am. Really, Jesus? And you believe it? Thank God he showed us the way. Whatever people say, it's their projectionists. As psychology explains, people are projecting what they are in us. I know people who look at amazing people like Divaldo Franco and they dare to say bad things. And I say, really? And who amongst us does a half of what he does? But we project, oh, he has this, that, and the other. We're projecting our shadow, as Joana de Angelis says, based on psychology, onto other people. So we see in them what's in us. Oh, they want to show off. Yeah, they want to show off. But we have no courage. So when we see somebody who has more courage, we're like, oh, they want to show off. No, they don't want to show off. You want to show off. People talked about Jesus. But he showed us that he is who he is. And he taught us this way. We, in our case, we're going to evolve. And as we evolve, St. Louis is going to keep explaining. We beautify our spiritual body. The more virtues we display, the more virtues we enroll ourselves in. We do true plastic surgeries in our spiritual body. Look at this, another book. See how Chico Xavier's books, all the authors connect with Kardec's books. In this book, Evolution into Worlds, that is all about the evolution of ours, especially of our spiritual body. This body, the physical will stay, but the spiritual body goes on with us for immortality. So if we want to talk about fashion design, think about immortal fashion design. Think about it. How we're going to look like when we sleep and we leave our physical body. And André Louis says, man, this woman, so gorgeous. The minute she slept and she came out of her physical body during sleep, she looked like a witch. And there are people nowadays who lost touch with whom they are. They keep doing plastic surgery, and later they become like a witch, and they think they're beautiful. It's incredible what we're seeing nowadays. It's before our very eyes. People who used to be beautiful, they keep doing plastic surgeries and they become somebody else, and they keep thinking they are beautiful. And I wonder always, what do these physicians do? The plastic surgeons, for money, accepting these brutal transformations. Would you, if you were a plastic surgeon, accept millions of dollars to change somebody's face and body just because they want to? But Vanessa, I'm doing my job. No, you're a co-participant in that destruction. You can say, I'm sorry, I can't. I don't think that's going to look good on you. I think you can do something else. I want to be just like Barbie. You know the women who want to look just like Barbie and the brutal transformations they do. And the doctors who earn a lot of money and they claim, yeah, I'm just doing my job. Morally speaking, that's not doing our job. We're taking advantage of people who are not mentally balanced. That's why real treatments, as Kardec is saying here, if we don't change human institutions, organizations, from businesses to education to medicine, we need to change it. We cannot treat the body without treating the mind. There are some organizations in which there are teams operating together, multidisciplinary teams, and that's the direction. Like in sports, the good sports, the good sport teams, they not only have coaches, but they have psychologists, physical therapists, and people who are specialized in sports, but from different angles. And then we'll see the amazing case of Cristiano Ronaldo, in spite of his imperfections, which is beyond our explanation here. We're talking about his excellence. He has a coach to treat his mind. Nobody becomes what he became out of simply playing soccer. It's a work of the mind. And also the specialists who help him with his very body, which is his instrument for his work. And that's what we call excellence. So then, in this book, we're going to learn in chapter 2, something fascinating. It's all about the spiritual body. We incarnate many times reincarnate because we need to beautify the spiritual body, which is the projection of our mental body, says Andrea Lewis here at the very beginning, chapter 2 of the book Evolution in Two Worlds. And he says, to define the spiritual body, it's somewhat necessary to remember that, first of all, that is not a reflection of the physical body, because in reality, it is the physical body that reflects the spiritual body, just as the spiritual body reflects the mental body. Oh, so we have the mind that will define our spiritual body, and the spiritual body imprints our physical body. So if we want to evolve, we need to know how to nourish our spiritual body, how to care for the spiritual body, because that's what's going to stay with us. And what does it depend on? The mind. That's why we study the book, Thought and Life by Amen. The mind is everything. We need to learn to think. And as recently I heard scholars saying very wisely, when we think about thoughts, it's not about sentences that we are thinking of. It's about feelings associated with other things that we call thoughts, ideas. So how can we evolve when we think all the time of criticizing people? There are people, think about if you had a notebook and you would write your thoughts. It's hard because 10,000 thoughts cannot be registered. We are not aware of them. But the ones we are aware of, if we spend just a day, take our phone and just put on the notes. I'm thinking this. Just close it. Don't look at it. At the end of the day, look at it, or next day. What am I thinking now? What am I thinking now? What am I thinking now? Just write it down, write it down, write it down. In a week, go back. No wonder we're sick. We have financial problems. We have relationship difficulties. Because we spend our whole day and we think we have self-control, right? Oh, I'm so good at controlling myself. Because our thoughts is where we prove that we control. The people who control their thoughts, they're like Jesus. They only think beautiful thoughts. When Felipe read the message by Emmanuel today, the opportunity to do the good, and he brings the example of how Jesus acted after being betrayed by Judas. It's shocking because it's so real. Like, he did not curse. He kept on being who he is. You are a friend to me. He did not change because the other person did this and the other. And that makes so much sense. Right? For example, if a dog bites a person and it's your dog, you stop loving the dog. You need to understand, like Jesus understood Judas, why he betrayed. We understand the dog. A dog is a dog. A dog may bite. And there's a reason why. A person may say things we dislike. That's the nature of the person. Why am I going to change what I feel because the person acted in the way they are? So we are learning today that we need to incarnate to learn how to tame our thinking process, our feelings. If we master that, we evolve. faster. We stop reacting, which is very hard. But there is one technique we can use that if we do this, we can bring our reincarnation to another level. Some people ask other people who do things that are amazing, how do you do it? Where do you find time to do it? They don't know that we know of this technique that we have been using since our childhood, being raised as a spiritist. We call it intelligent sleep. In this chapter 2, Andrea Luiz is going to explain about our spiritual body and is going to say, during the night, when we are asleep, true surgeries can happen in our spiritual body. He's not saying anything but surgery. He uses the word. And he's saying to us that if we have merit, the good spirits will come to our home during the night when our body is at rest, and they will operate on us to maximize the gain of that incarnation. While we as spirits can go to universities in the spiritual realm. You don't need to be at university level to be at a university. You don't need to be a kid or a teen. At any age, we can go there and keep on learning. But if you, before you go to sleep, you take your phone and you watch the news, which is not the news of no solar, it's our news on the earth, we won't go to these universities. Where we will go? Depending on what we do before we go to sleep and during the day, we'll stay here and we'll go and fight with people, argue, or we'll go feed our addictions and stay here, and then we wake up feeling like, oh, not ready for the day. Who are the people who will wake up and say, I'm ready for the day? The people who used their sleep time wisely to promote mental health, spiritual health. We want to maximize our doing in this incarnation. Let's learn to sleep better. Andrea Luiz says to us, look at this. He says, in the spiritual body, we possess all the automatic tools that govern the billions of microscopic cells that serve our intelligence. In the spiritual body. And he says, tools acquired slowly by the being over millennia of effort and recapitulation in the multiple sectors of the soul's evolution. And he's going to say, now, thus, and bear with me, because I know the wording may be much, but it's very important. Governing the functional activity of the organs, we identify in the spiritual body the crown center, located in the central area of the brain, the seat of the mind, the center that assimilates the stimuli from the higher plane and guides the form, movement, stability, metabolism, and conscious life. Just by this, just one point. How do we feel, Philip? Like, oh my gosh, it's much, right?
It's so complex, right?
So complex,
So
right?
complex, everything that is needed to get us going and to get us here.
Right? So what can we do? He talks about the mental structure of the cells. Mental structure of the cells. we can't blame on anyone for anything in our lives, but take responsibility. So today we are learning with the good spirits in all of these books. What is our focus? To become selfless. This is a discourse that is not approved by the illusions of society. If we tell this to people out there, they're going to say you're crazy. Or like a teacher told me once, Virginia needs to be more selfish. Who is going to take care of her? Well, like Lucy, she has parents, right? So at this age, don't worry, Virginia has parents. That's why I'm here. That's why she doesn't need to be that selfish, because we're all selfish. But how many people have you heard justifying their selfishness? Because they feel like if I don't take care of myself alone, nobody will. So where is God in your life? Where is God? But God, Vanessa, but God is not going to put money in my bank account. Really? You think you put the money in your bank account? Because there are people who dream of money every day and yet they don't have money in their bank account. And you think, who puts money in your bank account? And then Emmanuel writes a book named Money and saying that money comes from God. And saying that no matter how hard you work, you may never reach what you want because it's not supposed to be like that in this reincarnation. Because if you had, and I'll say this again, what Cristiano Ronaldo had, we would be lost. If we had what he had, his personal jet, his yacht, and his homes, we probably would not be doing what he does, training every day. You think he's throwing lavish parties? No, he's not. He's training. People are saying, retire. He said, I don't want to retire. And this is what is fascinating. And we, with much less, we do much worse. Because with much less, we indulge in 10,000 ways. So God is the one that is dictating it. In this life, look at the book Memoirs of a Suicide. There are people who will reincarnate, and in that life they will own things and lose everything. They need to experience that. Why? Because they need to learn not to quit life again because of money. There are people who will work 3 jobs and yet will not get to any other level because that's not what they're supposed to do in life. Because if they have, they will lose themselves. I know this is a discourse that people don't want to talk even in churches, because our churches today are transformed. They are not taking the discourse of Jesus any longer. They are preaching wealth, thinking that if you're a good boy, good girl, God's going to give you with gold. And that's not true, because God does not award us material things for the good deeds we do. The reality is, we may have the money that we need, but the question is what we're going to do with it. The titles, the beauty. What are we doing? Making people lose their minds? So everything we have is not ours. It's temporarily a God's concession, even health. There are people throwing health out of the window. Not sleeping well, eating properly, not exercising, and using drugs, alcohol. And then next life, when they are reborn with illnesses, we say, oh, poor one. No, you are blessed. because these impediments are preventing you from escalating again into a disaster. So today we're being invited to think the goal of our incarnation, to sublimate our personal interests, to think more of the collective needs. It's a mental exercise. I wake up, I know I have to go to work, I know my family needs this, and yet, what does the world need? The people whom I work with, have I prayed for them? Because people think that it's forgetting about our family, our things. No. Add to the to-do list the needs of others as well. Really, genuinely opening our hearts to the people. Today, we may be in separate families. Who knows tomorrow? If we're going to reincarnate in the same family, or if we have already been and we no longer need. Now we are friends in the good because we were once in the same family. Now we had an agreement, say, we go separate ways, but we're going to be together in the spiritist family to do the good, to learn and to spread out the good. Who gains? We do. To close it up, St. Louis, here's the reason why we did this study today. One must also consider the fact that when we are discarnate, in the intervals between existences, reincarnations, the situation of the spirit is in keeping with the nature of the world to which it is connected according to its degree of advancement. That in discarnation, the spirit will be more or less happy, free or enlightened according to the degree of their dematerialization. So, number one, recalibrate ourselves. We incarnate to progress spiritually. We need to take care of the physical body, the material things, no attachments. Even the physical body, we say thank you every day, knowing that one day it's not going to be with us anymore. Who am I? What is going to stay? I will stay. Am I going to be happy? If I am not yet at that feeling that if I discarnate today, I'll say, I did the best I could till now, we have to run to cleanse the heart, to get rid of the grudges we've been holding, and to detach, thinking, as we studied on Friday in the book Life and Sex. In our family, nobody belongs to anybody. Emmanuel said, parents do not belong to their children. Children do not belong to their parents. Spouses do not belong to one another. We're connected, but we won't stay like that forever. One day, one of us will go, the other will stay. We may encounter it quickly in the afterlife or not. It may take centuries sometimes to reunite. And it will depend only in our degree of evolution. Because the more we evolve, the freer we are to encounter whom we love. The less evolved we are, we're stuck. We're stuck where we are, far away from the loved ones. Look at Andrea Lewis and his mother. She was more evolved. She was always in touch with him, though he couldn't perceive her, teaching us that we need to be lighter, to beautify our spiritual body. Beautiful thoughts do not benefit only the people in our lives. It benefits us first. To cherish beautiful thoughts, beautiful words, beautiful feelings, beautiful actions. And a good exercise during the day is this. One exercise for the day and one for the night. The day. Whenever we realize, say, well, let me think a beautiful thought. Instead of saying, I'm not going to think of this, say, let me think a beautiful thought. Let me have a beautiful feeling. And do something that triggers that beautiful feeling, that beautiful thought. And whenever you realize it, beautiful thought, a beautiful thought. Tell your children when they are a little cranky saying, give me a beautiful thought. Tell me something beautiful, something funny. And that's going to say, dictate what we're going to feel next. And when we go to sleep, prepare for the beautiful time when we beautify ourselves. Use that time intentionally in a prayer. Say, God, please take me to the clinics where I need to be treated. If you think so, take me to these places where I can learn more and progress for what you think I need to learn. To prepare for when I wake up, I'll be ready for the tasks at hand. And then use wisely our sleep time. That combination of day and night, just by doing those things, of course, in prayers, in good actions, we will shift our vibrations. Our spiritual body will become more purified, as Kardec says in the book Genesis. He has a whole chapter about the perispirit. Talks about how we need to dematerialize this very spirit. So one day we can reach this Christ level. Can you imagine that day? But Vanessa, I don't want to be like that. Then you don't want to be happy, because happiness is that. We want to be happy. To be happy, we need to evolve. Forgive and be compassionate and be hardworking. Hardworking. The law of work is what safeguards our evolution. Anybody has a question, friends? Because the books have all the answers. Right? Anybody has a question or a comment you'd like to share before we move to the next part? Yes, Camila.
I did the gospel at home with the kids yesterday, and the message we got was very in line with the study today. Was let us be at peace from our daily bread, saying that we perceive things according to the light or darkness within, and we will achieve peace and happiness once we can control that. And as you're talking, I'm like, that's exactly, everything is happening around you. You are going to react according to how peaceful or not you are inside. And so I thought I would share that because that was a good message, and so was today's too. I mean, very in line
Yes,
with it. Yeah.
You're right.
During the 9 o'clock prayer. The 9 o'clock prayer was along the same lines of not reacting. But you mentioned we have to grow away from instinct to a person is rational. Okay.
Yep.
And the comment, I won't say the comment you will hear many times is, oh, that doesn't make sense. I can't go away from my instincts and become rational. That's hard to do. But that's exactly what we need to stop reacting when we're in any type of situation. And so it's all, they're always working on us. Always, you know, all you did was put it all together again. So beautiful.
So, and it's so interesting because we look at animals, we want them to be rational while we are so irrational, right? We're entitled to reacting, to living, to doing, to things. And then when our dog has a reaction, which is dog-like, we're like, ah, like we wish we were as tame as our sweet dogs, bringing so much joy, right, to our lives.
it's funny, it's along the same lines. We're watching our daughter's dog for 2 days. Me alone, and then Nina with me. And I was downstairs in the basement doing some stuff, and I was making a lot of noise. The dog was early in the morning. The dog was still up with my wife in the bedroom, and I come into the bedroom, and the dog's on my bed, and she's barking at me, and she was growling. Yeah. And Nina says it doesn't make sense because she's been the last 2 days she's been following me around like a little, I guess, friend. And what I didn't do was react to her. And I didn't think bad or other. I just let her react. And she calmed down. She got off the bed. And she came and she was whacked. She had her tail down because she knew she had done wrong. And everything was fine. But I know this dog was a rescue. So the dog was not crazy about men. That's another thing. So there was a reason why.
Yeah, she was saying, finders keepers, I got your bed. You got out early. Now it's mine. Right?
Yeah. The dog is just testing your patience.
But you acted as a human.
Yeah.
Because usually, I remember this guy in New York, way back when, almost like, not a century ago, of course, but it's like, man, more than 15 years ago, he came to me and said, I feel so bad. Why? Because I almost killed my dog. I said, what? I asked him, really, literally? And then he told me what he did. And I said, why did you do this? I said, I don't know. In his case, he didn't know. He didn't have a reason. I mean, as if we have a reason, right, to kill a dog. But Papa is a vet here, so there is a reason why we have to put them to sleep. We'll say this gently. But in his case, he's not a vet, so that's not the reason why. And he was upset, and I said, you see, sometimes we are more irrational than our dogs. Because unlike Jesus, who understood Judas, we react in irrational ways. So that's why today the lesson brings to us this invitation for the beautification of ourselves, to really fly higher. We hope that they will discarnate. We can say, I evolved, because not everybody discarnates and say that. Usually we stay at the same level, and we miss a whole reincarnation. That's the case of many people on earth. They reincarnate, and they are exactly where they've been. And we have to start all over again. We want to end this reincarnation and say, I graduated. Next level now. Whatever that is, then we don't know. So let us think of this, do the exercises of beautiful thoughts, beautiful feelings during the day, and intelligent sleep during the night, and transform our lives, okay, friends? So let us prepare ourselves for the passes, all right? For those who are over the internet, stay there if you want, because this is passes time. We'll put some slides and lead for those who are over the internet. Let us help one another by visualizing our waterfalls of healing light and the shower of healing, ridding our spiritual bodies, physical bodies of toxins, and the good spirits applying onto us the energy medicine that we need. Let us all now visualize the spirit doctors in front of us and their illuminated hands applying onto us the energy medicine that we need. Let us visualize also our homes and their team helping us balance the energy field of our homes. Let us feel the spirit doctors approaching us, offering flowers of healing. Let us receive the bouquet of healing flowers. Bring it close to our hearts and feel the emanation of this healing light enveloping our heart chakra, balancing our emotions, the emotions of our homes, joy of living, hope, and courage. Let us visualize Jesus as our best friend. He's always in tune with us and our needs. Visualizing his beautiful heart emanating light, a light that envelops us in harmony, in peace. Let us feel his powerful presence of love amongst us, protecting us above all. Let us visualize our Master Jesus with his loving kindness. He is our best friend on earth. There is nothing that we do that he doesn't see. And he cares for us. Let us visualize his healing hands applied onto us new strength, new protection for the continuation of this reincarnation. Let us now see our beloved Mother Mary, who works side by side with Jesus, her maternal care, her loving embrace. Let us feel her presence that calms our hearts and reassures us of our connection with God. Let us trust in God as Mother Mary did and feel new energy in our lives. Let us continue visualizing Master Jesus and Mother Mary right with us. Let us raise our thoughts and feelings to the Creator of our lives. Dear loving God, we are so grateful for this very reincarnation. You, God, who loves us so much, gives us another opportunity to come back, to renew ourselves, to learn, to progress, and also to readdress the mistakes of the past. Dear God, we pray for strength, for courage, so that we can be stronger to fulfill the plan that with you we design for this life. We pray that we can see the challenges of life as learning opportunities, as opportunities to readdress what in the past we were not sure what to do, and that without knowing, we fell through with our commitments. We pray for our loved ones, those close to our hearts, our family members, and we pray for our communities. We pray for peace on earth, that we can march forward to a planet where we truly see each other as brothers and sisters, without prejudice, against race, religion, sexual orientation, ethnicity, and culture. We visualize bridges of peace forming within and between countries in this whole blessed planet designed by Master Jesus, enveloping healing light. That those that at this very moment are going through deep suffering, that they can find relief, love, and helping hands. With much gratitude for these moments and staying connected with you throughout this week, always in the highest vibrations, we ask your permission to close this meeting of today. And so be it. Friends over the internet, thank you so much for joining us. We will see you here next time.